Hello, welcome back to another Maya's Uncut video where we are going to discuss the astrological lots, at least an introduction to the lot of fortune and the lot of spirit. I just cannot thank you guys enough for watching these. Words cannot describe how much easier it is for me to produce this style of content versus highly edited content, and I kind of can't believe that you're watching, but I'm so glad that you are. It's so nice to connect with you in such a natural way, so thank you so much. So the lots, okay, I want you to think lottery. Now, maybe you've never heard of the lots. So these are sort of mystical points that are calculated based on the ascendant. Unfortunately, if you do not know your exact birth time, it is difficult to calculate your lots accurately. Okay, so I'm just being honest with you guys about that. You do need your birth time in order to benefit from this. So the lots are considered like your lot in life. The most significant lot is the lot of fortune, at least according to ancient astrologers, and that's where I get my astrological intel and inspiration. And so an individual's lot of fortune was literally considered like their fortune for their physical life. So in other words, it was extremely important. Many astrologers considered it to be more important than the sun or the moon or other very important points. As a matter of fact, some astrologers calculated the entire chart based on the lot of fortune. So they would make, wherever the lot of fortune is, they would make that your first house, and then they would adjust the chart from there. My own personal lot of fortune, I like sharing with you guys my chart. I don't know why, I just do, but mine is at 22 degrees of Leo, and it falls in the 12th whole sign house. So the lot of fortune would describe in many ways like whether you were going to have a life that was, quite positive. Maybe you were going to have wealth and, a nice partner, or maybe it was going to be a challenging life. Maybe there was going to be poverty. Maybe there was going to be illness. So it was, but the thing about it, that I think is interesting and unique is this idea that there is a fate factor in life, and modern astrology has really gotten away from that. So the concept of the lots are like casting lots, or like the lottery, you get what you get. And I think there's a healing quality to that. It indicates, I find fate to be very healing. Not everyone feels that way. Some people feel most healed by the idea of free will. I don't necessarily feel that way, myself personally. But so you would look to the lot of fortune to describe the qualities and characteristics of especially the physical parts of your life, including your material circumstances and the physical body and the health and material life, physical life circumstances. So of great significance is the ruler of the lot. So in my case, it's 22 degrees of Leo in the 12th house. So you would look to the ruler of Leo, the planetary ruler, which is the sun. And my sun is in the sign of Aries, and it's located in the 8th whole sign house with Mercury and Venus. So a lot of my fate in this life is 12th house, 8th house, and that is true. I don't necessarily consider that to be a bad thing, even though many people would, but I'm a psychic now. I'm hopefully a baby medium. I do a little bit of mediumship, but I often think mediumship is my greater destiny, in terms of speaking to the dead. They're not dead. You guys, 100 million, billion, they're not dead. But do you understand? They're no longer physically embodied. And so perhaps that's fate. And I'll tell you it is based on, this is a whole other topic. But I prayed from the moment I first was aware of, cognition, that I would be allowed to remember my most recent past life, because I would have cravings, strong, so I was so blessed to be raised in a Victorian mansion. But that, in certain ways, it didn't make life easier, because I just had these cravings to go back in time. Just these cravings for the Victorian era, and I would just get the most like rich nostalgia and things like this. And I just wanted to remember so bad. And I prayed every single day to remember my prior life. I don't even know I'm really telling you this. But it took a long time. I eventually, oh, that's why. Yes, so I eventually, my prayer eventually was granted when I was 27. About maybe 6-7 months into my Saturn return. I was, yeah, in the later stages of being 27. And that gave context, I think, as to why it could be fate. Because I had a very complex relationship with death in my most recent life, having lost a child as a mother at an age when life just begins, and grappling then, really wasting in many ways the remainder of my life from anger of the loss of a life, because I wasn't quite sure that there was an afterlife. And so I thought, how dare you, God? How dare you take the potential of this soul when they're just beginning, and this and that. And so I had a lot of anger, and there were ways that the spirit of my son was trying to reach me, and in anger, I turned away, and in doubt, etc. So anyway, so like, it kind of makes sense then, like as an evolutionary path, like in this life, that the focal point would be on 12th house, 8th house, spirit world kind of stuff. And it throughout my life. So I started, so yes, I mean, yes, that is the case. My very first memories are being visited by spirits. That's probably important as context. And when I say very first, I mean way before I was verbal. It had an impact on me. I mean, but yeah, so I grew up in a haunted house. So that the idea that the soul existed and was conscious after death was, there was no way for me to, I suppose, make any sense of my life experience without acknowledging that fact. Because I was seeing, so it took me a while to realize they were not people as in, now they did look different, and that's a question I know people have. They did appear more black and whitish, or more, but still nevertheless, like initially I thought that they were just the same as my nanny, my mom, dad, etc. It did take me a while to realize that, because of the way they interacted, which is a whole other thing. There's so many different types of hauntings, you guys, but this was intelligent haunting. Well, not all. No, I mean, there was a variety. Some of it was residual, and that's a whole other thing. But like, there was some level of interaction directly with me, and so it did make me wonder. I did think at first that they were alive, which they are, and that's the whole point of what I was trying to say. It's like, there's not, what dies is the physical body. Unfortunately, we exist in this time, and the physical body just ages and ages and ages until eventually it expires. But that is not the case for the spirit. The spirit does not age in that way. It does advance in its knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and light. But anyway, so these experiences, and then throughout my life, I've been thrown into these 8th house, 12th house experiences over and over and over again. And so I do think the lot of fortune is very significant. And I do think the idea that there is a fortune is important, especially now as a message. The things that happen to us. Now, granted, our soul chooses and plans these things. But in terms of like, I personally I'm not a believer that everything in life that we experience, we manifest like with our mind or whatever. No, like there are certain things that are going to happen. And no matter how positive you think, no matter what energy you put out, there are certain things that are going to happen. And it's just we each believe what we want, but this is my feeling, right? And it's been interesting for me, like I have this 12th house, a lot of fortune. And if you study the charts of other people with similar charts, most of them have experienced a period of hospitalization or a serious illness, which I do have a mystery affliction right now. And I'm not in the hospital right now, God's blessings. It is my 12th house year, realistic expectations like right now. So, I mean, we'll see. But like throughout my life, various times, like I have been in hospital settings. And I've been in comatose for extended periods twice. And then growing up, my own mother was an intensive care nurse, and she actually would take me with her to visit patients and stuff. And I've spent a great deal of time in the hospital. So it's very interesting. And it feels like fate in the sense of like, in terms of curing the illness, I've done everything. Like, oh my God, I actually just finished reading Becoming Supernatural by Joe Dispenza, and all that. I mean, from the full gamut, everything physical, every test, do everything spiritual, but yet it persists. And so there is a sense of fate to it. So anyway, so that's like a little bit about the lot of fortune, but like it could vary dramatically based on what your lot of fortune is. If anybody's interested in this, like as a reading, it could be a 1-question reading, like what is the meaning of my lot of fortune, or what does this say about my fate in this life? But yeah, by sign, house, and planetary ruler, it's significant. But that's not actually what I wanted to talk about. Like, I thought I had nothing to say, like, about the lot of fortune, but I mean, I wanted to talk about what's been more meaningful to me as a discovery, which is the lot of spirit. Why? Well, as you know, I have a passion for the guides. I mean, to say the very, very least, you know, it's really the guides that are my colleagues. If I don't know if that's appropriate to say that, or the coworkers or whatever, I mean, or bosses, but I mean, I work for the guides. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I'm doing. I mean, the guides, they do everything, and I just do my best to give voice, because they don't have voice. The guides don't have voice, right? And so they always attempt to reach us directly. Every guide does, in every way, attempt to reach you directly. But it can be hard. Just like I just said, I mean, who am I to talk? My whole past life, I mean, I turned away from every sign from the spirit world, so who am I to talk? Like, but right, so like a lot of people, we don't notice the guides, or it's simply our own destiny to work with a psychic or whatever. But anyway, so what am I even talking about? Oh, the guides and why I like the lot of spirit. Yeah, so, you know, so the lot of spirit describes the personal guide. So that's why I love it. Like, that's why I love the point. Particularly, it describes this concept, which was called the diamond, which is slightly different, okay? But pretty much the same. So the lot of spirit, so lot of fortune describes, here's what you're going to experience in the physical life, okay? Good, bad, whatever. Like, and the lot of spirit is like, and here's the help that you're going to get. So lot of spirit by sign and house, it kind of describes to you the specific areas where you will have extra, and this is my feel. Okay, this is by the way, this is based on my experience and observations over a couple of years. But like, a lot of spirit is kind of like, here's your helping hand, and I suppose I think of it as like the guardian angel, like the concept of diamond, close to guardian angel, rather than the spirit guides, which exist in another place. But it definitely does describe where, and this is why I think it's a value to you watching today, is that it describes an area of life where you can get extra special help and support from the spirit world. And so depending on like the house that it falls, that can be really significant. So mine is in the sign, it's also at 22 degrees, and it is in the sign of Libra, and it is in the second house, which is the material house and the money house. And so I have found when I make, I've not tried anything extravagant, okay? But the second house, like, just because I do think that's important to say. But I found throughout my life, even though like I've worked it for a lot of nonprofits, and even now I'm clergy, I do a lot of work for free. And so I've worked a lot of jobs where money was not the main motivation. And I've worked more in a subsistence way a lot of my life. And I actually started working when I was only 12 years old. And I did work full time because it was a family business, full time in the summer, for a very low cost. So I only was paid $25 a week initially when I started working. And yet I've always had what I need physically. So like the second house, people say it's about values. The second house describes one's possessions, including the physical house and what you own. Okay, this is my Uncut, so like uncut, like it's physical things. And it's the income that you earn and your money and whatnot. But it's like weird, like in my life, like I've always like had what I need, like physically. And sometimes it's come to me in like mysterious ways. Like, yes, like sometimes it comes to me through the work that I'm doing, but sometimes people are suffering or whatever. Sometimes I'll do like a lot of work for free and people will just give me the specific things that I would have bought with money, like the things that I need. And I've been blessed in that way. And maybe some part of that is like a lot of fortune being in the 8th house. And there's a lot, I mean, that gives me some kind of fate around shared possessions. And like I grew up as the younger sister, for example, and I received a lot of hand-me-down things. I actually miss like living further away from my sister because she would share with me so much of her stuff. And she took a different path in life where earning money was the main motivational factor determining her career trajectory. It's completely different. Like her motivation completely different. So she tries out a lot of expensive things and doesn't like them, like because she's super, super Capricorn and has extremely high expectations, and everything she doesn't like, she gives to me. So I end up with these like nice things. And multiple times I've asked of my guides, like, this is actually really, really weird, but this is totally true. I've asked like, okay, I could really use this, like, whatever. Maybe it's like a kitchen gadget or something that's like really, really expensive thing. I don't want to spend like my own money. I want to save my money, like, you know, for a rainy day. And I face rainy days because I go into these 12th house, like fortune experiences of like extreme illness, and medical bills and stuff like that. But anyway, so like, I would say, I can't think of any time where I ever wish like, oh, I wish like someone will give me like, I mean, it's happened with like little things that I don't need, but like specifically with her, for example, my sister, like, I wish she would buy this, not like it, and share with me like every single time. Like she does, like every single time. So it's like pretty crazy. Now I'm living on my Jupiter line now, and I do daily journals, and I started making wishes every day because I'm having my Jupiter return. Jupiter's in Gemini, my natal Jupiter's in Gemini, and I'm living on the Jupiter line. So I thought, let me test this and see if it's real. Like Jupiter, so let me make wishes, because that's like very Jupiterian. So I decided to focus my wishes like mostly on second house topics, since that's where I think of the diamond, I think of the lot of spirit, the description of that guardian angel, as unlike the spirit guides who do need psychics sometimes to communicate because they are in a different plane of reality. It is my strong sense that the being described by the lot of spirit is here, like in the physical, not physically embodied, but here. And that's the difference. Like when we talk about angels and guides too, like the guardian angel is actually here with you. This whole other thing too, I don't exactly know what's exactly going on. I mean, I'm an observer of reality. I really am, like in my heart, like I'm a psychic, but I really am like a scientist. I'm constantly conducting experiments and observing and seeing. But very often, like for periods of time every day, but not the whole of the day. That's what's interesting. So I'm not quite sure, but I will actually sense a presence or energy or light that I believe is the guardian angel or diamond behind or next. Usually it is behind, to be honest. It usually is behind a person, but it almost always is behind a person. Oh my God, I'm getting like a feeling like weird, but every once in a great while it's like behind, but slightly to one side. So I don't exactly know what that means. But yeah, there's definitely a divine being walking with all of us for sure, 100%. And I don't know why I seem to slip into states of consciousness where I sense these or see these. And sometimes it's more of a seeing, sometimes it's more of a sensing. I guess it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't, but it's just a curious note. And as I describe it to you all, I notice it normally happens when I'm doing readings. No, no, it's not. It's when I'm out and about doing random stuff, usually around 2 to 3 in the afternoon. So like when I do notice this, I think that's interesting. You guys, like, oh my gosh, this is super Maya Uncut. I think it has to do with the actual physical light spectrum, seeing it. Because now that I think about it, I've never seen this in dark lighting, even though you would think that I would. Like, I would definitely see it, you know, at like an evening dinner party or something, but no. And I don't see it in the morning either. It's in the direct light of, it's like when there's a lot of light, like a lot. So that, I mean, that's a theory. That's a theory at this point. It could have something to do with any number of things. It could just be random. It could be my own brainwave patterns as they fluctuate throughout the day. And the fact that I almost always run errands immediately after finishing my work, and that's when I finish usually. So it could be my own brain state. But anyway, we have a diamond, we have a spirit, which is described by the lot of spirit, and that describes where we can get extra special help, support, and assistance. And if you're requesting extra special help, support, and assistance, I recommend that you request it in a way that corresponds to your lot of spirit. So anyway, so I started making these wishes. So I just moved into a new place, and I actually like moved from another country, and I only brought a suitcase. So I have nothing. Like I moved with nothing basically, which means there's the potential to gain everything. So I started making wishes to find like all the things I wanted and needed at like these great costs. And I'm like 38 days into this now. Now a few of my wishes have been for other things. This is a result of a wish actually. I wished for a better idea about how to do YouTube that would be more sustainable, enjoy promoting for me, that people would still like. And so that's where I got this idea for my Uncut, as soon as I wished that. But anyway, but it's like absolutely crazy. Like, it's like, I was like, so the first one I was like, I can only eat 8 foods because of my illness. So, and one of them is milk. So like everyone's allergic to milk. It's like the safest thing for me in the world, which like babies survive for like years on milk and stuff. So it's good, I guess. But I decided to test the wish thing. My first test was like to get a really, really good deal on milk, which like, cause I thought, okay, and for it to be at a specific store, and like, I wished it like, well, I was already on the way to the store. So it was like, you know, it's like a last minute thing. So I was like, if this works, like there's something to this diamond thing, like this lot of spirit. And I'm still perplexed, but I mean, it's great. Like, I love this, right? But I walked up to the milk area and there was like all these clearance milks for like 99 cents for a gallon of milk. And I bought multiple, but I could only like bring so many, you know what I mean? Because it expires, but like, so I started to think, like with my logical mind, I was like, okay, I made a wish to my diamond that corresponded to something physical that I wanted to own. And yes, milk falls in the second house. I understand people will say it doesn't. It does. Why? It's physical, it's heavy, you store it in your fridge. I mean, that's my opinion. So like, anyway. Oh my God, I'm gonna run out of battery. But yeah, so I mean, I was a little shooketh. I was like, okay. But then I thought, you know what, maybe they always have this, you know? Who knows? I mean, it was, by the way, store like I never really been to before. It's local to the area. And so, well, I'll tell you this. This is gonna be the end of the video. I'll tell you this. I was hopeful in a way, but also curious as to whether this wish thing like was, you know, some magic, like from my lot of spirit or whatever, or what. So I've gone back now 5 times to see if I can get this great deal. I have not made the specific wish again, okay? But just in general to see, do they always have this? And they do not. They do not, they do not, they do not, they do not. I actually cannot believe it. Like, I'm actually like I was thinking about going back again tomorrow just to see. Is it that they have it on the same, well, actually, if I already did that experiment, like I went back on the same exact specific day to see, is it just a day of the week thing and it wasn't? But maybe I'll see, is it just a time of day? I don't know. It seems like my wish came true. And it seems like my personal diamond is especially here to help me acquire those material things, possibly in exchange for the work that I do for the spirit world. Like as in terms of being a messenger, to ensure that I have the things I need. Sometimes I feel we're just playing a little bit of a game. Like, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, nothing is really like excessive, I guess. But sometimes I do like want something that I possibly don't need, like these earrings or stuff like that. And I still wish and I still get the stuff like at ridiculous deals and stuff like that. So, thank you, Diamond. Like, thank you, lot of spirit. But yeah, like it could be really different depending on where your lot of spirit is. Like if it's 10th house, like, you know, wish for fame, you get what I mean? Like, if it's first house, like wish for the ideal physique and go for it, you get what I mean? So, but for me, it's the second house. So anyway, that's a little bit about like the lot of spirit and the lot of fortune. And I hope you enjoyed this Maya Uncut. And I'm gonna mostly be making these Maya Uncuts, I think, for like a little while, because I think that they're fun and you guys seem to be liking them. And it's really nice. Like I'm currently enjoying it, although I will make other videos too. If you're looking to calculate your lots, I only just use astro.com, the extended chart selection. But there's also, and on the extended chart selection, if you scroll down at the bottom, it's like extra factors and you can check the box at least to get the lot of fortune. There's a traditional astrological calculator on astroseek.com. The traditional, and if you just type in like astrological calculator plus lot of fortune and plus lot of spirit, you should find a variety of places where you can do it. But yeah, these are valuable points for sure. They're definitely valuable. They're definitely valuable for sure. And like if you already are kind of into astrology and you're looking for something new to study, I recommend working with the points for sure, like the lots. And I love the idea of lots, and I love the idea of lottery, and I love the idea of fate. And it's completely real. If fate wasn't real at all, then there would be no such thing as psychic readings. But the reason that there are is because certain things are fated. So it can be very difficult to make a psychic prediction about something that is not fated, right? Because then it is a free will choice. But for the bigger things that are fated, that's where you can get pretty good psychic intel. Anyway, I really am gonna end now. Thank you for watching. Many blessings to all of you and namaste. Bye.